Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be continuing the E30 build, doing some brakes today. So I got a whole bunch of brake stuff lined up. From master cylinders, reservoirs, clutch line, fittings, unions. I'll also be redoing the hard brake lines. And most importantly, the highlight of this video, brake boosters, valves, brackets, vacuum line, a whole bunch of stuff. The original E30 brake booster isn't that common to find anymore. If yours goes out, you might have a hard time finding one. Plus, there's a lot of different options in the market to upgrade it and get a better brake feel. So here's some of the brake boosters I thought about getting. The first one, which I wanted to get, was an E32 brake booster, but it was hard to source new, even though it had the best pedal feel and what I was looking for. I could not find that. Second is a Porsche 944. This one, it has the same, pretty much looks like the OEM booster. This is the factory E30 booster. Looks exactly the same. A little bit more braking power, or a little more braking assist. What I ended up going with was the E90, E92 brake booster, and that's this guy right here. This booster is more thick than the factory E30 booster, but it's easier to source and has more modern day brake assist. After doing some measuring, came up with some numbers. So where I'm gonna have to cut is right at the end. See it? Right at this end. To keep the factory stock location. And you'll be welding this butt right up against it. I got all the rubber seals put back on. There's also a foam piece that goes on first, so I put the foam piece on, and then I put this rubber seal on, and I covered it with some aluminum tape. I don't know how helpful it will be, but I want to keep this boot from burning up. This is a flux core welder. It is 160 amp, I think. So smoothing, I got this flat as I can with the anvil grinder. Hit this with the wire wheel so it's bare metal. Just gonna throw it like that. Let's put some couple welds on it. Got this welded on. Only issue was this rubber was melting. It was causing some porosity in my weld, so I gotta zip tie daisy chain them together, and then I just zip tied it down like that to hold this down while I welded. So not the best welds, but had to go back. I initially went around the perimeter. That's when the rubber was burning into it, got porosity, so then I just started throwing welds like this, just but this guy's done. So from the factory, this has a light coating of oil. So I usually use gasoline to clean all my stuff, but for this guy, being that there's all these rubber seals in it, just to protect it from whatever wasn't damaged from welding it, we're gonna use some Dawn dish soap and water, get this cleaned up, get it ready for paint. Brake boosters painted. I used VHT caliper paint. Did a light coat, 10 minutes, light coat, 10 minutes, and then I did a medium coat. What I usually do when I paint as well is I use some map gas. I'll heat up the bottom. You could even hear the the rattle in there. But I'll do that. Shake the can for a while, hold the can upside down, give it a little, then you're ready to paint. So this guy's good. So while this is drying, I have the master cylinder right over here. Put a couple coats of silver. We'll get everything dried up and ready to install. I'm going to take this time to install the clutch line for the master cylinder. So the clutch master cylinder on this BMW is inside, right by the clutch pedal. So that would be in here. Hold on. This, oh my goodness. This, oh my goodness, bro, what the fuck? This is a factory clutch line. So that runs through here. What we're gonna do is get a new grommet and replace it with this clutch line from FCP Euro. I'm gonna use this sheathing, make it look a little bit nice, and it pops right into, where the fuck is it? Pops right into there. And if I can, I'll try to get a hose clamp if I could, but I'm gonna install that right now while all that stuff is drying, just so once the brake booster is in, I'm not gonna be fighting the hose to route it in there and, you know, take 10 hours to do it. So, and as I said, if you didn't watch my last video, this stuff's pretty good. It's flexible, so you just push it and it'll expand and just feed it in. So this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I prefer these type of hose clamps over the gear style. Plus I specifically ordered them in black just so they have a cleaner look. Perfect. Alright. Yeah, this is long enough, more than long enough. What we're gonna do now is that brake booster is not bolting, so we're gonna drill some new holes for it. So the bolt pattern is the same as this when it comes to the distance between these two. So what I'm gonna do, get a piece of paper, find where those lines are, and just mark them off. Update again. I'm an idiot. Look. So this, I thought, okay, so I'm looking at the booster. I'm thinking the master is gonna be like this, but I just said let me just test fit it because the paint dried. Put it in here, and it's at an angle. It's at an angle this whole time, which means I didn't even have to drill. I didn't even have to drill any of that. So I'm gonna put some etching primer, and I just wasted a whole hour. Let's go. Let's hurry up. Let's get this aligned. Let's try this again. Okay. This is the brake pedal. So the ones on one of them is gonna be right over here. The other one's gonna be on the opposite side, right over there. Yeah. as I'm editing this, I realized I forgot to tell you guys how the brake booster connects to the brake pedal. So, I'm gonna do that right now.
Here we go, here we go. If I can hold it still. Okay, I'm gonna circle everything. Shit, what the fuck? There's the rod right there. You're gonna see the clevis pin goes in is the same as factory. Everything goes in the same as factory. The clevis pin slides in from the right side going into the left. Slides right in. It's gonna be held down by a cotter pin.
Now I have it rigged up just like this right now. It didn't seem that secure, so what I'm probably gonna look engine build. Next video. What I'm probably gonna do is use these E-clips right there. Harbor Freight sells it. Shoot. Harbor Freight sells it for like $5-6. So this is the brake pedal. You're looking from inside of the car, right? And then this is the hook right here. The hook is gonna have 2 holes, right? Just like that. Now we're gonna pretend those 2 holes are here. You're gonna have your clevis pin. And this is the passenger side, this is the driver's side. The clevis pin is gonna slide in this way. And then over here, you're gonna have a clip. That clip is gonna look like something like that. That clip is gonna go here. You could reuse that. That's what I'm gonna be using. It's already on there. Slides in. Once you slide it in, it's gonna be like that with that clip. Then over here, you need another clip. That clip is dumb as shit. It looks like something like that. So that clips onto here, but for some reason mine keeps on falling out. So I'll be using that E-clip over here. Hopefully that makes sense. If you still don't understand what I'm saying, I don't care. The brake booster is bolted down with 2 bolts. I made sure to put this rubber gasket on the master cylinder. Okay guys, this is about 3-4 days later, back at it. So I don't remember where I left off, but the master cylinder is in, brake booster is in, and now I got in the mail these adapters for the bubble fitting. Now, on this master cylinder, I initially got this part number, BLF48C5, which is just an M12x1 bubble flare. But that ended up bottoming out on that master cylinder. So what I had to get, and I'll put the part number all over. But it's this. So it's I guess this is some type of flare. But it's this flare, and then this is a inverted flare over here. So then I have some 3/16 fittings. So this will go into the master cylinder. This will be on the brake line, and then that just screws into there. So got that. Next thing I needed, which came in the mail, were these grommets, because the original master cylinder, if I can find it. So this is the original master cylinder, not the factory, but you know what I mean, the ATE one. Doesn't have a tight fit. I got these grommets which will fit it right in there. So a trick I learned was putting some hand soap on the grommets. It should help with the cause. Shit. So this is a brake proportion valve. Came with this bracket over here, so you could just fabricate something. So have this like that. Okay guys, so I'm still in the middle of fabricating the bracket for it. I see I tapped some holes, got something going on, so it should look something like this. But I'm gonna drill a hole, put a bolt right into here, and I'll show you guys a cool tool that I have to connect it. So this hole, we're gonna need threads, and we can't get behind it to put a nut back there. So I have this tool, which is a riv nut installer. So there's different dies for M6, M10, M12, and what you're gonna use, it's an insert. So the threads for this, so the threads on here is a M6. So you get the die with the M6 thread, open it up, thread this on, just like that. Make sure you have a hole that's the right size or good enough. Which all you do, squeeze. Once you squeeze, handle, use it to unthread it. Now you have an anchor point, M6 bolt. Threads right in. This is the bracket that I came up with. Definitely a lot stronger than the old one. You can appreciate, focus, I appreciate the welds. So I'm gonna hit this with paint, get that bracket installed. Okay, so I have the first set of brake line mocked up right here. It's not fully tightened up, but that's a rough. What I used to mock the shape up is this aluminum wire. Take some pliers and bend it to the size, just like that. And then once I have this, I would translate this. I would use this as a template and bend the actual brake line. So while we're here, we could go over how to bend brake line. So there's a couple different kinds of brake line. What I like to use personally is this copper. This you could bend by hand. This line will come in a roll just like this. What I do to straighten up the roll is I would just put one end in the vise. Just like that. And the other end, clamp it down, some line, or clamp it down with pliers. Okay, so as you can see, there's a bend in it. So there's a bend in the line right about here right now. Instead of going by hand trying to straighten it out, just get it straight, in line with the vise. You could even see that it's all crooked. And give it a couple good hits. You can see now, it's straight. Support it so we don't bend it anything again, because this is easy to bend. You can bend this by hand. Loosen it up, and there we go. I can show you guys how to flare it now. So you're gonna want to have a clean surface when you cut it. What you're gonna use to cut it is a special tube. You can use a special tube cutter, just like this. So loosen it up, and you'll see that there's a little receiver and then the blade right up here. So this is the blade side, this is the receiver. So you're gonna get the receiver just like that. You have it sit right in here. You're gonna tighten this down. As you tighten it down, the blade is gonna pull towards here. Let's get it snug. It's about snug right there. Once it's snug, you start turning. And when you start turning, you'll start to feel it come loose again. That's because it's cutting it and there's less material, so you're gonna wanna tighten it back up a little bit and keep going. Alright, what is this? Even know what grit sandpaper. There you go. Yeah, this guy's 240 grit. I'm just gonna use that to clean the edges. Make sure that this is completely flat, this surface. So now we have a clean surface, and we're gonna need to flare it. So what most people use is a flare kit just like this. We'd use a 3/16 die because that's the line I'm using, but I'm not really a fan of these. So what we're gonna use is this right here. Let's go ahead, put this in the vise. We have this in the vise. Handle slides right in. Now we're gonna get the die. When we look at the die, you're gonna see this side is just a flat, boxy shape, and then this has a little angle to it. So this angle is gonna face towards the handle. So let's get this bottom in there. And then it also has these little receiver grooves cut in it, so it ensures that you don't that you don't put it in backwards. So this receiver groove matches with that. There. So next, we're gonna leave this open for now. And as I said, this is the side with the angle. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this piece. Snaps right in. Push it down, just like that. Grab our line. Before you do anything, make sure you get your fitting. Slide it in. Okay, get the line on there. Now the most important thing is I would make sure that the receiver, these little pins, are mating with each other, just like that. I'm using my other hand to support this line. You don't have to make sure everything is perfect. Just make sure that receiver groove is good. Then this is parallel with this axis. So let's go ahead, close this. Has a clamp. Snug it down. Okay. Now from here, we're gonna go to loosen back up. Okay, we're gonna go to operation 0. So snug this back down, not too tight. You kind of want it a little loose. So with operation 0 is just a flat piece, so that's gonna square everything. This receiver groove, the line, and everything is gonna square. So push that. It stopped. Okay, now when it stopped, I'm gonna push this line towards this way just to make sure it's actually touching this. So good. Let's tighten it down. Okay, so this is 3/16 line. I'm gonna be doing a double flare or inverted flare. So we're gonna go for OP1, operation 1, 3/16. So let's twist it. Have operation 1 face this. That way. Bottom it out. Now we're gonna go to operation 2. Right here for 3/16. Same thing. Okay, loosen that. Take the pin out. See, this one is not completely perfect. It's a little oval too, and I don't know if you can see on camera. So I'm just gonna cut it and redo it again since I don't like it. Let's get some little bit of WD-40. There you go. Yeah, that one's much better. Okay guys, so it's been about 1 week. 1 week later, had to hold off on the brakes for a while. By the meanwhile, I did end up, camera's dead. By the meanwhile, I did end up installing the crankshaft and measuring the main and thrust clearances on the S52 engine. All the parts I need came in. A few things. I needed a bunch of AN fittings and adapters because the threads that I'm using, this is a German thread. This is an American thread, and also have AN lines as well. So I had to get a whole bunch of fittings to get all these different type of fittings and flares to where all work together. But that's all done. And instead of using this hard brake line, which I was going to use for going to the running across the subframe, I ended up just reusing this line that I had. It's AN line. Just ran that. I just put some clamps and ran all that along the subframe. Now with this BMW engine, a lot of the heat is concentrated in this area. Before I painted it, all the paint here was pretty much gone from all the heat cycles. So I picked up some sleeve to wrap the brake AN braided hose in, and for over here where it sees a lot of heat. It's like this little aluminum type of tin, which I'll run that along the frame rail just to protect the paint. I have these two lines which need to come into a T-fitting. So the T-fitting, I might put it over here or fabricate something just to get it over there. Just like that. So give me about 5 minutes. Well, give me about 2 seconds on camera. Let me figure out what I'm gonna do with that. So I've got all these hard lines ran, all these copper lines ran. Put some silicone vacuum hose on here to protect it from the frame. AN lines, I had all these adapters that ran to the inverted flare back into here. For the prop valve, I was running this one I found from Amazon, but I ended up not using it and put back the old Chase Bays one. Clean this up with some spray paint, because this one, if you completely lock this out, it'll still allow brake fluid to rear wheels, which is not good. And this little T-fitting right here. The reason I don't like this one is because it has these compression sleeves, which they'll work, but it's not good for, it's not really recommended for this type of stuff. Now I'll just put some threads and got everything bolted down. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.